You're listening to the most fraudulent F1 podcast with Dan, aka Engine Mode 11.
I secretly moonlight as Helmut Marko at race weekends.
And Blake, aka Brrrake.
Echo chambers of farts and idiots on Twitter after races.
It's the Engine Breaking F1 podcast.
What a banger of an introduction. Welcome to the Engine Breaking Podcast. I am one of two of your terrible, fraudulent hosts. My name's Blake, aka Brrrake, and I present to you Dan, aka Engine Mode 11, the super Twitter fraud lord. We are two former Formula One engineers now making a podcast fueled by vibes. And then every now and then we sprinkle in a little bit of tinfoil hat shattering fraudulence in there. But
vibes, love, and wrapped around in a wrapper of some semblance of technical knowledge.
And if anybody asks about anti-dive today, I'm literally gonna lose my stuff. I'm gonna freak out. Anti-dive is one of the most insane innovations that we've ever seen in a race car. I'm just kidding. I'm losing my mind. People freaking out about that. I've got a video that is going out in 2 weeks about that. I'm working on it. I'm slow. Don't sue me. But welcome to the Engine Breaking Podcast. Last week, we had the Imola preview and then no Imola review because there was no Imola Grand Prix. And this week, we're going to give you guys a little bit of a preview of the Monaco Grand Prix. So I've got quite a few stories from being at the track, and we'll share those in with a little bit of the news, what's going on in Formula One right now. We've got a lot of changes happening. We definitely have people talking about anti-dive in the Twitch stream already. You're getting banned. I'm just kidding. And we've got a little preview for the Monaco Grand Prix. Dan, what's new in the news in the Formula One world today? We had Imola canceled due to rain.
We did.
That was a definitely rare Formula One W question.
Yeah, they were quite quick about it for F1 standard, considering when was it, Australia? When was COVID? I can't even remember now. Was that 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When that kicked off, they banned it. They didn't ban it. They cancelled the weekend. I think, was it an hour before FP1? They even had like the support cars out on track, and they were like, actually, guys, can it?
We've got a global pandemic coming in. It's going to change the way that you live, breathe, eat for the next 3 years. That was wild. I remember my better half was out there for work, and it's like, they're out. How's it going? Oh, Thursday night, had some beers with everybody. It's like, yeah, there's this weird thing that like happened in China. We keep talking about it on the television, but anyway, then all of a sudden, like, I think somebody from McLaren caught it, and everybody was like, right, that's it. Yep. Everybody hop on flights and go home. It was actually wild, and it changed everything.
It did. There you go. But Imola, we said, now we go back and listen to it. I said there was a 50% chance of rain. Well, jinxed that, didn't we? So Imola, they had some pretty major flooding in the area. And I think it got to the stage on Wednesday where basically F1 turned around and said, hey, none of you lot can come in to the track, because it's the river that runs next to the track was like right at its limit and ready to go. And then I think it was like the deputy prime minister for Italy turned around and said, nah, guys, come on, be sensible. Let's just can this and redirect all the resources and effort to the local population and that. So sad story, because I think 5,000 people, probably more than that now, were displaced, and I think we had 8 deaths. I think
that's terrible. Yeah. That's horrible. But it sounds like Formula One themselves and some of the teams also, did what they could also to help, despite probably losing shitloads of money on the event. So, what was it?
Yeah, we had Ferrari came out and did €1 million. F1 matched that and did €1 million, and then we've seen like some of the drivers do charity streams and things like that.
Did Mercedes send some cash as well? I think there were quite a few teams sending a fair.
I don't know. I may have probably missed it, to be honest. But
yeah, I think Mercedes did as well. But and then this is the one I thought was quite good. Is that all the food and drinks and all that obviously hospitality, because there's like mountains, like it's insane,
food and drink. Like if you saw it, it's insane.
Well, it's not just like the team's food, it's all the catering bills for all the teams. So you have all that food that they bought earlier in the week. You've got all the hospitality for all the VIPs, and you've got everything else. I'm not sure concessions fall into that because those are usually independent operators, but like all that stuff that was FOM or subsidiaries, they're like, right, we'll just fucking buy it off you and we'll send it to the locals that have been displaced and support. So that was super cool. That was a really nice gesture, despite a very miserable
and
situation.
Then, I think we saw maybe on the Wednesday or the Thursday, like pictures coming out of the support paddock. A lot of them were underwater. The TV compound, I don't know if you saw that. That was underwater. So
didn't they lose some gear there?
No, they must have.
Yeah, but like you know what it's like losing some gear in a rainstorm in Malaysia or Singapore.
Oh,
you can just throw the whole server in a bag of rice and you'll be all right.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Oh, we had some huge news today, and I feel like we saw this one coming, and I'm excited about it, but I don't know what's the big news today.
The big hot juicy news, ladies and gentlemen, is
I was about to call him George Michael then. Sorry, George Russell. George Russell. Oh, the dogs are on the radio. Everyone's kicking off.
George Michael, as I'm now going to call him. No, why am I talking about George Michael? Sorry, Aston Martin have got Honda engines for 2026. What the fuck happened now?
George Michael.
Lost my mind.
Yeah, get in there. Aston Martin, Honda 2026 onwards. So Honda can continue their technical deal with Red Bull through the end of 2025, and that includes AlphaTauri. But is this an exclusive deal from 2026? It's Honda and Aston Martin all over? Ooh.
Seems to be. So from what I've read, Honda have said they've got no plans to supply anyone else, right? So it's an Aston Martin Honda Works team. And you said earlier, like, we saw this coming. I didn't see this coming, man. Honda and Aston completely took me by surprise.
I might have heard rumors, but I might have heard something that was more than a rumor. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, you're leaning on your insider knowledge.
I don't know.
So yeah, we got Honda and Aston Martin linking up. Apparently, Honda held talks with McLaren and Williams. I think we knew or heard of the McLaren talks happening.
Yes, yeah, that was
wasn't sure if we knew about the Williams.
I didn't know about that.
No, but I think Aston had said about a year ago or whatever they were looking to potentially build their own engine. But
that's wild.
It's not viable. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, but that's one of the things. Like Red Bull powertrains, they're effectively using licensed Honda stuff right now, and they're operating it with some staff and renting resources and everything else. Building a new power unit from the ground up, man, imagine that upsets the order, and you have Red Bull dominate these 3-4 years.
Yep.
And then what if you had a Honda Aston Martin dominance in 26? There's going to be a huge emphasis on the battery, on the electric side of that, and then a lot of it will be people adapting to strategy, which won't take too long with dealing with the smaller engine, the bigger electrical motor and all that. But that's fucking wild.
The increased focus on hybrid technology that apparently lured Honda back in. They had a CEO change, and I think the new CEO understood perhaps maybe the value of F1 a bit more than the outgoing one, and was looking to come back.
Was it a little bit of the change of guard from the old school to the new school?
Possibly, yeah.
But that seems like classic Honda. Like, things are going okay, and they dip out. You had the Braun car, which was a world destroyer as it started, and then they didn't develop the car at all. And then Merc bought it for a bit.
£1, I think. It was usually like £1, wasn't it?
I think didn't Braun bought it from Honda for £1, and then I think they sold to Merc after that. I could be completely wrong on that, but I think it's one of those two scenarios. One of us we're both collectively 200% correct. So divided by 2.
Mash both of our opinions or whatever together, you'll get the truth.
Maybe. Imagine that.
No guarantees.
But Yeah, that's wild. Like as soon as they're getting good, they dip out, and then you have this Red Bull Honda thing. It's like, this is amazing, and they're like, yeah, you know what? We're just not interested anymore. It's like, you guys just won a championship.
Well, apparently, I was reading about this. Apparently, they made a decision internally to pull out before they won the championship, and then they were like, fuck, like we've messed this up a bit here. But unfortunately, the wheels are already in motion. They already basically told all their staff in the UK side of it that, unlucky, you're out of a job. They pulled out of F1. They closed their Milton Keynes facility, and they had one somewhere else where they build the cars. I've forgotten the name of it now. It'll come back to me, I'm sure. But now they've got to go through the rigmarole of basically going around and saying, we need another UK base of operations now, and we need to get all the staff back. So we're either going to lure people back that we lost to Red Bull, or we're going to have to go through the hiring process all over again. So basically, like, monetary wise, they probably would have saved money if they just fucking stayed in.
Yeah. And then Red Bull, but at the same time, then Red Bull wouldn't be expanding their campus and developing a power unit development facility and everything else. So this is interesting. So Aston are becoming fairly independent. They'll have a works deal effectively with Honda. Red Bull will be making their own power units, supplying those to AlphaTauri. And that's it.
It just seems wild to me that in 2026, we're going to have 2 PUs on the grid, potentially. Basically, the family tree is a circle.
Are we talking about some like Game of Thrones, like super incest cycle of engine development?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, Game of Pistons.
Wow.
It's like, you remember when we had, when was it, 2012 or whatever? Maybe even more recent than that, when we had Lotus and Team Lotus in F1. It's gonna be like that all over again.
That was weird. It's like, no, you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Who's the real Red Bull powertrains? Who's the real Honda powertrains? It's fun and games.
Wild.
But you said, picking up on your point you mentioned earlier about possibly coming in 2026 and dominating.
Yep.
Not outside the realms of possibility, because as part of this announcement, Honda quietly dropped in that actually the entire time they've been working on the 2026 power unit in the background, albeit with a small team. But they even, before they even decided and had the deal signed to come back in, they were working on it in the event that they did. So
that's not surprising to me at all. Like, are you going to,
no.
You have this whole everything revolving around building and dyno testing and signing off and commissioning, production Formula One engines, and then operations based in the UK. And then you have Japanese staff that are cycling in and out of the UK, back and forth between Japan and the UK on a rotation basis. And then they're like, yeah, why don't we just keep like 5 people working on a single cylinder for 26, and we'll have a people doing some, because they're not just going to lay off all those people. I mean, they might have laid off a lot of people, but they want to keep, they don't want to have a super brain drain. I'm thinking.
No, I think some people transferred back to Sakura, the Honda facility out there.
I think they encouraged most of them to go back, and they weren't particularly pleased that some of the people stayed at Red Bull. I'm reckoning, because that's also, from what I understand, and if anybody understands the Japanese automotive culture, but I think the understanding I have is that, like, if you're a Toyota or Honda or whatever person, that's a job for life if you're good. You're literally sorted, nothing else. And then now that it's like, oh well, you've pulled out of this, and it's like Red Bull powertrains could go under, and then you won't have that Honda pension and all the other benefits that come with that. So it's a big risk for the people, but hopefully the people that did stay over, they got that fucking bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, props to, you know what, I'll give my props to Lawrence Stroll. He hasn't come in and just sort of been a crap rich person running a team. He genuinely seems to be building a good solid base here.
It's wild. Yeah. We didn't expect this, honestly. Like, we were like, oh, he's got a the first impression is him building a team so that his son has a drive, and you're thinking, oh, come on, Lance, is not great. He's become pretty freaking reasonable, in my opinion. He's decent. He's decent.
Someone says in the chat, Lawrence put his money where his mouth is, and yeah, I agree with that. That's a good statement. Yeah, he has.
Absolutely. Absolutely so.
Got this massive new campus that I think is opening soon. They got the wind tunnel. They're gonna obviously now have this works deal with Honda. They are on the up.
Yeah, and like I think the relationship with Honda will be a very professional one, like the one they have with Mercedes. Like that's a slick operation. No Renault slander here directly, obviously.
We would never do such a thing on this podcast. We remain professional at all times.
Speaking of then other engine manufacturers, and we're gonna rewind. We're in 2026 right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna hop in our time machine and come back to the 2023 Monaco Grand Prix build-up. Mercedes have brought something which is going to revolutionize Formula One. They brought side pods, baby.
Yes.
What have we seen?
The advantage of no side pods was officially locked in for 18 months. I'm calling it now. It's done.
Yeah, done.
So literally like an hour before we've gone live, we had some pictures drop showing like a redesigned side inlet.
Oh my!
And a revised front suspension with some anti-dive properties.
God, see what you did? God!
Managed to sneak that one in there, chat.
Am I gonna have to go off on a tangent? Am I gonna have to go off on an anti-dive tangent?
Get back in your box. Get back in your box.
I'm about to fucking lose it.
And then half hour later, we had another photo emerge of the clamshell, which basically does look like a side pod. So, yeah, there we go. Not very developed though. It looks like a very, very basic side pod. It's like a hybrid between sort of like the 2020 and 2021 Ferrari.
Okay.
It just looks a bit bland, and that's not slander, you know.
You're so fucking biased. It's unbelievable. Say something nice about them for something.
Fuck Mercedes, no. Yeah. So all the drama that kicked off, like, oh, they aren't they, like all this upgrades and whatnot. I got I still know people that are in F1, believe it or not. You know, not everyone's blocked and deleted me yet. And I had some guy from quite high up in Mercedes message me saying like how amused they all were in the office watching everyone lose their minds over this potential upgrade, and people need to sort of taper their expectations a little bit. And I was like, yeah, well, that's just the internet, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's also Formula One. Like, what was it? The last time we saw, I forgot who it was. Was it Sabu or Yepa that said? And if I didn't get this right, they said the last time we had or was it even Rory maybe? The last time we had a huge change in terms of somebody bringing an upgrade that was a huge upgrade, it was Force India's B-Spec back in the day. You remember that?
Yeah, that plucky little team.
Yeah, which is now Aston Martin. So that's pretty wild. So yeah, I think people should definitely be careful with their expectations and not get too wrapped up. But let's please hope that Mercedes have found a substantial upgrade, and they're going to be finding some performance so they can compete. So, I mean, we'll come back to this point later, but so far at any event this year, the closest they were to pole when everybody was struggling with warm-up, they were 0.35% off of pole. Everywhere else, they were 0.6% off or even 1% off of pole, which is a huge performance gap, and they're just kind of in the no man's land. So yeah. let's hope.
The other thing as well is obviously these upgrades were planned for Imola. Didn't happen, obviously. So bringing a massive upgrade package to Monaco that you've not tested on track yet sounds like an incredible risk. And it is, let's be fair, it is. But they don't have much choice because they've modified the chassis to accommodate new suspension pickup points.
Oof.
So which is kind of all in.
Basically. Yeah, you can't, it's not like there's a Control Z on that one. No, it's like, hey, can we put... So basically, if it looks like they've changed side pods. So the way the Formula One cars works is you can change hard points in the front of the chassis to some extent, but often it might be changing inserts or removing stuff. And I haven't seen that done too many times. I know that people do it, and I just never paid too much attention to it. The other thing is with like a bodywork change, like with the side pods and everything else, you have these fairings which are bonded onto the survival cell or the monocoque, and those accommodate, all the fasteners for all the bodywork panels. And when you have a big change like that, you have to basically cut all those flanges off and then rebond them on to accommodate the new bodywork. So this is not a let's just delay this upgrade. And I know I saw you and a couple of other people being quite cautious, like bringing a huge package update to Monaco is a huge risk, and I think it definitely is. But they've committed to this, and they were going to commit to it anyway. And at the same time, Monaco's about avoiding yellow or red flags, keeping it out of the fucking barriers, and being on track at the right time. That's what it is. And you could have the driver can make a huge difference around Monaco. Yes, we're still going to see a performance gap from top to bottom of the field, but we'll talk more about what makes a car quick around Monaco in a little bit. But
my concern with the risk around it is obviously, like you mentioned, keeping it out the wall. But it's been obviously we didn't go to Imola, so I'd imagine they've probably got some spares knocked up now. So perhaps maybe that's not quite such a risk. But my other question, and this is one that you might be able to answer, is what's the quality of data going to be from these upgrades in a track like Monaco? It's such a unique circuit.
Yeah, it's there's two things, right? The car around Monaco, you end up setting up the car quite high and quite soft because it's bumpy as fuck. I mean, you look at the bump at turn 5. They have to drive around this bump. They don't drive straight into the braking zone at turn 5. You have very high front ride height. You've got pretty soft front suspension. You've got relatively high rear ride height. That's not necessarily true, but in terms of aerodynamics data, it's not like you've got a 200 kilometer an hour straight line aero pass that you can do anywhere. Like maybe through the tunnel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult making quality assessments. All you can say is working, not working. But comparatively to say fine details, it's relatively lower quality data. But at the same time, I think they'll know if it's going to be a shitter or not. But maybe it just doesn't go well here, and we'll have to wait until Barcelona, which is a very classic, which is typically the winter testing circuit. So people know what to expect and how to set up a car for Barcelona. So I agree with you. Barcelona will be a much truer test for them internally to understand, and probably B, to see if the performance is there, because I wouldn't be surprised if they go well around Monaco or closer to the front.
I'm just sending my thoughts and prayers to the poor engineers that have to get an aero map of that car in Monaco. That would be fun.
I feel like we've done that at some point before, like introduced a new component and we had to do some scans. I don't think that's the case. You don't do that there. And like, to be fair, earlier in the season, people probably have been putting their biggest, nastiest mother trucker of a rear wing on the car just to check that it was stable prior to going to Monaco. Like you usually don't build, they might now, but back in the day, you usually never ever brought that nasty, huge rear wing. You'd run that rear wing at maybe Hungary, maybe Monaco, and Singapore. That's it. Yep. And you test it quite early to make sure it was stable, because it's very highly loaded and higher probability that it would have some detachment issues.
Could you use that high downforce wing at Mexico as well?
You would. You definitely would.
Yeah, because of the low atmospheric pressure.
Yeah, you just atmosphere.
Science, technical. Fuck this. Where's the fraudulence? Bring it back. We're getting too technical. Bring us back out.
If anybody talks about anti-dive, I will go down a rabbit hole, so please don't. I'll do it later.
Okay.
I'll do it later for you guys. But something else is changing in Monaco this weekend, and it's something that's going to directly impact our viewing and performance pleasure of the Monaco Grand Prix. No, it's not going to make overtaking easy, but we might not miss the overtakes to a picture of Lance Stroll just driving his car and then back to not an overtake. Why would that be?
Oh, wow. The TV coverage for the Monaco Grand Prix this year and for the next 3 years is going to be produced in-house by F1, like they do at every other circuit in the past, apart from they have done at Monaco, which has been done by Tele Monte Carlo.
Sounds like some European bullshit.
This basically just screams to me that basically for them to get their contract renewed, they had to relinquish their rights for local TV broadcasting or production. To
put that in context, it sounded like they were like, do we or don't we renew the Monaco Grand Prix? Because a lot of circuits have to pay for it, like to have the race there. And I think Monaco has a little bit of a special deal.
I don't believe they pay a lot. Well, this is the thing. Now the contract's renewed, I think a lot of those special terms have been whipped away. And the most obvious one to us that we know about is going to be obviously this one, the TV coverage. But in the background, they, what I believed is they had their own sponsorship. So we used to see, what was it, like Tag Heuer bannering next to a Rolex bannering, which was a bit weird.
Yeah.
And they also paid the least amount of fee to host the race.
Yeah.
But I think Miami came along last year, and I think Stefano basically waved that under them, saying, "Listen, Monaco, you can be replaced.
We've got Miami, baby. Hola." So something happened, and now we get, instead of exactly what Cars Go Vroom said, instead of shit coverage, we'll get the same disappointingly average world feed that we usually get. Miami didn't do it particularly good justice, but we've gone through that at length. But
yeah, I mean, I don't care because I only watched the fucking highlights at Monaco. To be honest, I'd fall asleep for the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna stay a little bit sober so I can watch the IndyCar 500 though. Hell yeah, brother. Go fast, turn left. Go fast, turn left. Seriously, that's gonna be fucking wild. Let's engine braking news, the podcast. This weekend we've got engine braking and braking engine and the other
two for the main race.
Oh, there's only two. Okay, you got engine braking and braking engine entering the virtual 24 hours of Le Mans. And you've been streaming this week. You've been swearing at the MX-5 Cup cars on iRacing. Engine mode 11 on Twitch, by the way.
Yeah. We started with MX-5 Cup cars. We went a bit mental yesterday and we did dirt ovals.
I heard about that.
It was a lot of fun. I liked that. Turning left to go right.
Yeah.
Then I did NASCAR Cup truck or whatever it is, the NASCAR trucks.
Oh, hell yeah.
19th. Somehow finished third.
You shithouse the podium.
Just by keeping it out the wall.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, so we've been exploring other motorsports in iRacing this week, and we'll continue to do that this week. And then the grand race occurs lunchtime on the Saturday.
Ooh.
Racing 24 hours until the Sunday. Doing it obviously for Samaritans. I think we spoke about it last time, but it's all for charity, and we've already raised £410.
What's your goal? What, are we gonna smash it?
We set to 1,000.
Okay.
1,000 was achievable.
Yep.
And we're already 40% of the way there, so I'm pleased with that so far.
So
and if you want to support, I'll stick the link in the show notes.
Yep.
Much love to everyone that has, even if it's just a like or a retweet. God, blimey, listen to me today. I'm all over the place. Much appreciated. Much love.
Yeah. So Samaritans is a charity that supports mental health and suicide awareness as well, isn't it? So
it is. Yeah.
It is a good cause, and you did huge stonks for them last year, and hopefully we're gonna hit that marker again this year.
It's a service I've used myself in the past. Listen, I think everyone should be more open about mental health. Get rid of that stigma, and
talk to your mates.
Here for one another.
Check on them, and like you said the other day, if they say they're all right, ask them
Check
again. Yeah. Life is short, man.
There you go.
Life is fucking short, and it's beautiful, but it's not always fun. And every now and then you need a little bit of help.
Yeah, and listen, every now and again you need a fraudulent podcast, and we're here for you for that.
If you're driving to work when you listen to this, give us a little toot toot. We got you, bro. Let's get into so you're going to be doing some dude, I'm really tempted to do a Watkins Glen 3-hour, but it starts Saturday morning at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. I'm not sure. I did one last weekend with my buddy Cookie, one of my old colleagues, and we had a disaster. But it was fucking, man, I've got the bug. It's so good. Yeah, it's so good. That iRacing is fucking insanely fun. How much money have you spent on iRacing yet?
Not a lot. I'm a tight ass, right?
Have you? Okay.
That's the reason why I'm doing the MX-5 Cups this week is because I'm not forking out the $15 for this week's Ferrari GT3 track. I was like, nah, you can wait until I get paid. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I said this the other day. So it's like what? Not if you buy a year, it's like $100 for a year, or something like that, or $60 for a year. So you get a handful of cars and tracks, and every circuit or car that's not included in that initial batch is $15. I think I'm probably $200 in right now. But
jeez Louise.
But a set of the Club MX5 race
is chat. It's gone down the MX5 history memory lane.
It's about $700 for a set of tires on a weekend. And if you want to go fast, you're going to do a set of tires on a weekend. You'll get a set of like really nice low shaved tires. So that's fine. That's fine. Let's get it. But I'm loving it, man. I'm hooked. So let's get into the Monaco preview. We got a little bit of trivia, some fun stuff about this because Monaco, like we said, Monaco's got some concessions. It's had some weird exceptions in the past about how they operate the weekend. So traditionally, Monaco free practice 1 and 2 were held on a Thursday. Friday was typically a support series, but since 2022, they went back to a Friday, Saturday, Sunday format. And apparently, I tried to look for this, and I did find it. It goes back to the origin of the first Monaco Grand Prix, where basically there was a bank holiday on that Friday. So they're like, oh shit, guys, we do it Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. And then as that went on, that wasn't falling on a bank holiday. They just kind of kept that. And like, but you wouldn't have Formula 1 run on Friday, but you'd still have like, the Formula Renault 3.5s or GP2 or F2 or whatever else they were at the time. And the Porsche Super Cup is always there. You'd have those guys running on a Friday. So you're hungover, stinking of booze on a Friday in the office, working on setups for qualifying the next day, and all you hear are these Porsche Super Cups going around all day. Is fucking terrible.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
But I've got some stories about that. We'll get back to some stories later on about Monaco Fridays. But generic info about the track. It's a proper street circuit. All the track is on public roads. It's not in a parking lot. And it's the shortest track on the calendar at 3.337 kilometers. And it's also the shortest race on the calendar. Normal Formula 1 race, how many kilometers?
Normal race, how many kilometers? 300k?
Yeah, 300k. Monaco,
there you go.
Monaco
that one, chat.
is only 260 kilometers. But yeah, this is like we talked about before with the downforce. This is the definition of a low efficiency circuit. You're gonna put the biggest, nastiest, dirtiest, draggiest son of a bitch on your car as long as it makes downforce. It's going on. So the wind tunnel said, "Ooh, that one's not good." And they're like, "Yep, that's going in the Monaco pile. We'll bolt that thing on." Top speeds are not very important to lap time, but it will be interesting to see how much lap time Red Bull gain in the straight line compared to the others, because there still are straights. There still are straights, so we don't know. Or do they have some like super son of a gun barn door that they can bolt the nastiest downforce on their car and still be quick? Because all they need to do, baby, is you need to qualify on pole positione.
Do they still put the special Monaco only steering rack in?
I think they do in the past. They either change the steering rack or they change the steering brackets, because in order to get around the hairpin, you gotta put some lock in that sumbitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go slow turn left, baby.
I believe I'm right in saying they also don't get into 7th gear.
8th.
Sorry, 8th.
Yeah, maybe back in the day when it was 7 gears, they would run a really short final drive so they could use everything. I think they may not use 8th nominally, because you do have to, Formula 1 cars, you pick one set of ratios, reverse all the way up through 8th gear at the start of the season, and you don't get a joker anymore. So whether you're running Monza or Monaco, baby, it's the same gear ratios that are in your gearbox the entire season. Oof. But
there you go.
It's wild. Monaco's wild. So it's really different to a lot of the other tracks, and it's a super punishing street circuit. Like it is a street circuit. There's very few places to bail out. There's a couple of escape roads that if you have a little shenaniganry, we can talk about those later. There's a couple of very
Rossberg.
Michael Schumacher. Yeah, we'll get back to those. But yeah. But similar to Miami, it's like the build up to this is about being on the track and getting in laps. You need to, like we said before, you need to run quite high and quite soft in order to deal with all the compliances, the bumps and lumps around the track. But we're bringing the softest range of our Pirellis, which means the softs can do an entire race. Not really. I don't expect that. I do expect a one stop. and we'll come back to that.
Would you like me to throw a couple of little hand grenades into all that lovely speech you just did?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I don't believe it's going to be a one-stop at all, because the weather again looks questionable for this weekend.
Yes.
And
I'm
they've
so
also
excited.
resurfaced some parts of it.
Ooh, I think a little bit of resurfacing isn't uncommon for Monaco. A couple patches here and there that don't make the notes.
I don't know if they resurfaced it for F1 or just in general, because it is literally, like you say, a fucking street.
Yeah. Ooh, but so I mean, if like, to be honest though, rain. We haven't even laid into Monaco. Monaco is usually all about qualifying, and it's a shit race because it's boring. But last year was good. We had people running the inters super long, trying to hang it out. I think if we have a wet weekend or a mixed weather weekend, we're gonna have some fucking fun. It's gonna be aggro for the teams and the drivers, but we're gonna have a blast on our sofas with our Aperol spritz in our backyard watching this race.
Tell you what, listen. I'm going to give you our live Monaco Grand Prix weather forecast. I'll check it now.
Send it, bro.
Where are we? Saturday, uncertainty over whether the track will remain dry. Sunday, the chances of rain are up to as high as 76%.
Monaco's one of those wacky ones where like we were literally watching the radar, and you could have a bunch of clouds roll over the hills on the west, and it's like, right, we're getting rain or not rain. It's like it's fucking awesome. I love it. I'm excited. But in terms of the track, things that are fun to look out for, and maybe you've probably, if you've been watching for a couple of years, you probably will have seen this on the television, but maybe not. The track, turn 3, 4, the left-hander at the top of the hill going into the casino section, that's all about commitment. Getting offline there can often result in a loss of grip. I remember a couple drivers have binned it there, even in the dry. You see down into turn 5, Mirabeau, they go around the bump on the back straight. It's like, why don't they just drive straight? It's like, because there's a big drop off there. The drivers, we need, like as Dan mentioned, we often have new steering rack or different steering arms so that they can go full lock to get around the hairpin. Coming out of the tunnel, not too dramatic, but it goes, you've seen the TV shots where it goes from dark to bright and you get blinded leaving the tunnel, and then breaking down into the chicane there at the exit of the tunnel is pretty bumpy. And then, oh man, the final chicane at the swimming pool, those barriers. I love the video of the tires just barely grazing the Armco. God, that's exciting. But be careful when you're looking at free practice lap times, because it's really common to never get a clean lap in until maybe qualifying, maybe not. So it's just one of those things. So yeah, you mentioned strategy. It's likely to be a one-stop, I think. And then what tends to happen is the front runners will tend to stay out because they usually have a pace advantage over the cars behind them, and they'll stay out until they have a pit stop gap over the midfield, and then they'll stop and then continue on. So hopefully everybody has good pit stops. That's never lost anybody a race ever. And if it's wet, you could actually win out or lose depending on what's happening. And yeah, the rules of driving in the wet or racing in the wet: be on the right tires at the right time.
Oh well, okay, there is that.
That's it. But do you think
don't do an Alpha Tauri and put wet tires on in the dry?
Ah, ouch. Do you think we'll see them if let's say it's proper stonking wet? Do you think we'll see them run the new wet tire spec this weekend? I've got
no faith in. I've got plenty of faith in the drivers and the cars. I just don't have faith in the people who make the decision whether to start a race on wet tires or run wet tires. The aversion that this sport has got to running in wet weather at the minute is baffling to me. But it's not baffling because I think we've gone through it multiple times on the show. We know why. Wet tires suck ass.
Yeah, the tires suck and they can't see shit. But it's like, when's the last time you could see shit in the full wet? Like, that's normal. I don't know why they've gone away from that. Maybe it's gotten worse, but I'm not a driver. You have a driver's drinks bottle if you're watching this on video, so maybe you would know, driver.
Yeah, sure. What? Ask me a question for sure.
Have you ever pissed in the seat while driving?
Yeah, and shit myself, yeah.
Let's before we get to a little message from our friends, Monaco, the rules of Monaco: track position, right tires, right time. Qualifying is king, and qualifying is probably the most excitement we'll get unless it's a wet weather race. It's insanely difficult to overtake, and realistically, it requires a huge mistake in the right place from the car that you're chasing, even if you have a pace advantage. Anything else? Anything else?
Be careful of the clubs you go into. Make sure your boss doesn't see you into which ones you're going into. If you're walking around in the yacht area, you need basically, if you want to get, should I say this? Yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I'm sure there'll be no repercussions to this. Right. If you're in Monaco and you want to get into the yacht parties, but you need to get past the marina security, right? Just carry a box of beer and walk like you belong there, and no one will question it.
This is like, that was really tame. I was expecting something else. It's like, right, I mean, Steve, here's his phone number. Call him. He'll give you a wristband, and you go around through the back, and he'll drop you off in a van, but you have to be blindfolded. Yep. And my God.
Multiple times that has worked, right? Because everyone thinks, oh, you know, F1 staff must be on all these yacht parties. No. F1 staff and people that work in F1, unless you're a driver or a manager,
you're a parasite. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, very rarely are you allowed to go to the cool parties and things like that. You don't get an invite. Your job is to basically stand around and build things and make cars go quick, not to party.
But I've got a couple of pretty cool stories, and we might have a couple more as well. But first, why don't we have a little word from our sponsors this week for this week's episode?
Sure, why not? And if they have a yacht, we would love to come and hang out on it.
Call us.
Hello, it's me again. Just to tell you that we are continuing our deal with NordVPN. Give you an exclusive offer. You can get it by going to nordvpn.com/engine to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan and 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. They have a super simple app that you can use on your phone, your tablet, your PC, and it's something that I've used myself for years, and I've been completely happy with it the entire time. And it's just in time to get around that potential geographical restrictions for F1 TV. Obviously, I can't say you should do that because that's probably illegal, but you know. So yeah, go to nordvpn.com/engine so me and Blake can feed our families. Thank you. Fucking 27 episodes in and I still can't fucking press the right button.
Oh my God.
Honestly, 6 years I spent in F1. I'm not making it up, people that are listening, honestly. And my quality of work was the same there as it is here.
Well, let's go to some of these Monaco stories. And these aren't my stories. These go back before I was even in the sport. And so track position is king in Monaco, and it's all about qualifying, baby. And a lot of drivers have tried to cheese this pretty hard. And our first one, who is it? Who's our first one that I've noticed?
Has to be. Is it the legendary Schumacher?
2006, his Lord Michael Schumacher. So let's frame this, right? Alonso in the Renault, he had finished first or second in the first 4 races, right? He was likely to take pole position, and allegedly, Michael knew this. Schumacher was on provisional pole, and he decided to have a little mistake into Rascasse. And then he stalled the car. And then back then, the cars did not have starters on them. So if you stalled your car, you're kind of fucked. So they got wind of this, and the investigation found him guilty, and he had to start the race from the pit lane. And there was a story I read. He's walking through the motorhome area, and the Renault, everybody from Renault just looked out the window and gave him a thumbs down. But he starts from the pit lane and he drives on to finish 5th. I mean, it's pretty dope.
Imagine fucking that these days.
Nah. But we've had another.
Back when the cars were small and you could overtake.
Yeah, I was watching some of that. It's like, oof. Yeah, the Ferrari was still pretty quick then as well. But what's our next one? Our next notable one, at least. We don't know about all of them. We can never be for sure.
On a similar vein, we had the Nico Rosberg incident, which kind of similar, but I don't believe it was ever proven. But it looked very suspect in 2014, I think it was, in qualifying. He took a very different line in qualifying when he was on pole. It was, pretty tasty between him and Lewis, and Lewis was probably going to be on pole, but no, Rosberg decided to have a similar little cheeky lock-up, and then did he try and spin the car and mess it up or something?
In
the escape road, and it was like, oh, yellow flag, sorry everyone.
Oh, my bad, sorry Lewis. Yeah, but I think the stewards investigated it and they found nothing wrong with it, but I reckon Toto was like, don't do it, because otherwise they wouldn't have a front row lockout, which they had. And even I think it was even Brundle called it a very hollow pole position.
Yeah.
That maneuver though, it was so cheesed. Like the Michael one was cheesy. The Rossberg was like, mate, come on, you're not even trying. He's just like doing all sorts of wacky stuff and smashing on the brakes. He's like, oh, I went straight on at turn 5. Bummer.
Yeah, it was questionable, but it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, and there wasn't enough to prove anything. So there you go. But speaking of fucking up qualifying, we've had one much more recent.
Oh, yeah, this was last year, and this is weird because we didn't really hear about this until the end of the season in Brazil. Does anybody know? The fallout.
After the fallout, and they were like, oh, why is Max and Checo so on edge of each other? And then someone was like, oh yeah, it's because Checo allegedly deliberately spun the car to cause a red flag in Monaco.
Yeah, and we went and looked at the data, and it's like, it did look kind of weird. It's like, you're already spinning, why would you go full throttle there? But the thing is, it wasn't a yellow flag. He backed the car into the barriers at the exit of turn 8.
I mean, he was committed.
Yeah, exactly.
This was sabotage. It was fully committed.
Yeah. Michael and Rossberg, you guys aren't even trying. Checo fucking allegedly backed it into the wall.
Smashed his car up. Smashed in Sainz's car, I think it was, as he was going around a corner.
Sainz collected him.
Yeah, and then Max was nearly right into the back of them as well. So Checo wins the most sort of points in that regard.
Yeah.
But I believe, didn't you not look into some of the telemetry we get from Multiviewer or whatever?
Fast F1.
That's the one. Thank you. Yeah. Shout out to Multiviewer anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah, Multiviewer. If you're watching on YouTube, this is not a Max Verstappen hat. This is a Multiviewer for F1 hat. And if you don't use Multiviewer to watch Formula 1, you're missing out. Just Google it. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't heard of Multiviewer for F1, go do it now. This is not an ad. I'm not getting paid. I just use it. He did send me a free hat. I did declare that he sent me this hat, and I love this hat.
Frauds. Fraudulent.
It's a great hat.
Where's my fucking free hat? I haven't got a fucking free hat.
Do you use Multiviewer?
Yeah, I use Multiviewer. Where's my fucking free hat? Send me a fucking free hat.
I'm not getting paid. I'm getting threatened. Exactly.
Yeah. What was our train of thought? Oh yeah. Did you not look into the telemetry and sort of try and give your opinion on it?
Yeah, it looked weird. It looked weirder than a weird thing. But at the end of the day, it's really fucking easy to armchair it, and I will give you. It looked suspicious, but at the same time, it's so circumstantial, and like even with all the data, you can convince yourself one way or another on certain things. So it's not even.
Yeah. And the data we get from Fast F1 is not.
You don't have steering or anything. You don't have good brake pressure. Nothing.
Frequency of it as well, and refresh rate isn't great.
It's el doo-doo. But man, so let's the first time I went to Monaco. Imagine this. I'd only been. Monaco was my second Grand Prix that I ever went to as a trackside engineer at Force India, right? And it was fucking wild. And at this point, I'm early on in my career in Monaco. Everybody goes out and has a couple beers on Thursday night, maybe Friday night. I didn't realize until probably halfway through my first year that you're not supposed to be hungover every Friday.
Correct.
I didn't realize that. But anyway, but this was back when free practice was on Thursday. And then, who owned Force India? His Highness Sir Vijays Mallya. And he had a fancy little boat out there, little number called the Indian Princess. And it was big enough that he could have a couple hundred of his mates and a couple hundred scumbags that were mechanics or engineers from the Formula One team come out to his boat. And that was freaking wild, man. Like going on Vijay's boat, checking in. Nobody got too wild, but it was fucking nuts, man. So that Friday, there was no running at the track, and I felt a little bit sorry for myself that next morning, but I did make sure to keep it under control. But
proud of you.
That was wild. Another thing is, you see the drivers and engineers go for track walks on, Friday or Thursday. Well, this was Wednesday, and you're going around the track. The thing is, when the track,
in the traffic.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when Monaco track isn't live, them's fucking streets, and there's cars on them, and it's just like you're walking around the track. The only thing that's blocked off is the swimming pool section, but even then, cars are going through there, getting down to the boats and stuff. But it's just not as people are trying to avoid it deliberately.
Yeah,
but
we've got to do a track walk, but we have to walk on the pavement because the track is a fucking road.
Yeah, and you're like walking on pavement. I've got I used to take my cameras to the races. I didn't do it when I was my first year, but I had a couple. I've got a Mamiya RB67, like a medium format camera that takes fucking huge ass negatives, and my Leica M6. So I've got a couple of really cool photos from those races that I took. I put one of them on my Instagram of the old track.
Of course, this hipster is here rocking the Leica. Of course he is.
I love it. Except forget developing film. But so another thing is, since those are live streets in the evening, the final bit of the track past the swimming pool chicane down to the penultimate corner is Raskas, a famous bar, and there's like, was it Stars and Bars, whatever, all sorts of. It's an absolute fucking chaos there at night. You can't hear anything because the music's and there's beer and there's confetti and there's people dancing on tables. It's insane. And it's always funny because, like, in the morning, the track is probably pretty low grip for those Porsche Super Cups because they're burning up all the vomit, piss, and beer and champagne that's been spilled all over the track. It's fucking wild, man. But if you do get a chance to go to a race, Monaco is a pretty cool event. If you can get out there, and even if not to get to the Grand Prix, just go there in the evening and get pissed up and go watch it on television in your hotel. But
and good luck trying to stay in Monaco.
Yeah, Menton's not bad.
Everyone else does. Stay in Nice and then just bus in, train.
Well, east of Monaco is Menton, where a lot of the journalists and photographers will stay out there. And it's still nice. So it's probably a 10-minute, 15-minute drive in. I used to cycle from Menton into the track. And like, I'm just like in one of the porta potties with a wet towel, just like wiping down because I'm sweating my ass off. It was great. I loved it. But realistically, I looked back through my trackside experiences in the recent years at Monaco. I don't really have any good experiences from Monaco personally.
Was you ever allowed? Did you ever manage to get into any of the Heineken parties?
No, not allowed.
Exactly, right? Some people are allowed in.
Nah, let's not go there. I know exactly where you're going with that one. I wouldn't touch that with yours, mate. But
no.
So let's do a quick rewind, and we'll talk about some of the parties. So 2012, Paul di Resta, performance engineer action. He finished 7th, some 41 seconds off of Weber, but like Paul was the front of the midfield sheds. That was pretty cool. I don't remember a single thing about that race. 2013, Paul did all right. Nothing crazy. 2014, Perez was performance engineer, DNF. 2015, Daniel Kvyat, P4. No chance of the podium, though. The other guys are way ahead. 2016, Max Verstappen has just won the Spanish Grand Prix, his first race with Red Bull Racing. And then does the track rod in, free practice 3 or qualifying. That was
Beautiful.
Yeah, and then was it a wet to dry race? And Ricardo could have put on any tires, but they decided to change from mediums to softs at the last minute. Except there were no softs available, so he had a nice 30-40 second pit stop and lost the race.
Oh dear.
Yeah. 2017, I literally don't remember at all. I don't remember a single thing from 2017. 2018,
never happened.
Daniel Ricciardo's MGUK failure, and he still wins the race, and he's missing 120 kilowatts. He's missing 20% of his engine power. He still fucking wins that race. I remember the call from Daniel to Simon, his race engineer. He's like, yeah, just manage it. He had to do huge changes to the brake balance so you don't burn the rear of the car. Like, without the MGK working, the rear brakes will catch on fire. So they had to do huge changes. Big props to Matt for managing that. And then Daniel was like kind of like sheepishly like, Simon, is it going to come back? And he's like, all Simon just says is, no, mate, get on with it. It's fucking wild. And he wins that, man. What a fucking drive. Insane.
Yeah.
Fucking wild.
It is. And very well done to Daniel. And I don't want to, this isn't taking away anything from him, but
nope.
this is just part of the testament of how much the cars have outgrown Monaco in the fact that no one can overtake him when he's got like 100 less horsepower.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Yeah, like watching Michael, I watched some clips from that 2006 race. Schumacher's just fucking driving through him, right? Up to P5. Was it Vettel following him in the Ferrari? Or Raikkonen maybe, had no chance to overtake him, and he's missing so much power. It's just like, all you have to do is kind of put your car in the middle of the road, and they're like, yeah, you're fucked. Sorry, mate. Yep. And then 2019 to present, no fucking clue. Like, Max has got one. I've actually got Monaco 21 Max one. I've got a poster of Max on my wall, sitting on top of the car. It looks like he's taking a shit into the cockpit.
Yes, yeah.
This one. Yeah, it's a great photo. That
it is a good one.
It's signed by him as well.
Oh, all right. Ooh.
Yeah, that wasn't too difficult. But
have you got this though? I got this framed the other day. So
that's a good one.
Audio people listening won't know, but I've got my special 2019 Austrian GP poster framed.
Yeah, the Japanese style with the Japanese characters. Victory in Austria.
A gift from Honda to all the staff at Red Bull. It was really cool.
Super dope. That is really cool. Yeah, but those I don't.
Sorry.
No, it's super awesome. And then last year Checo got that dub and got fucking wasted.
Yeah, and there's him getting off the. I fucking love that video of him trying to get off the fucking boat the next morning, holding a shoe, trying to walk down some stairs. Fucking legend.
Oh, what a fucking dude, man! But I'm sure there's all sorts of other stuff. There's the whole thing we've talked about before, where was it Jaguar had that diamond or that gem?
Never been found. Apparently,
it was bonded to the nose box of the car, and they had a little shunt, and somebody snuck off with 300 grand of bling bling. Oof.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, this was to, I believe it was the first Ocean's 11 film promotion. And
that's the 11th one.
What? I said Ocean's 11. Yeah, that was fuck off. Dickhead. Right.
Sorry.
Fuck this idiot. Right, you know I'm struggling today. All I can smell is burnt toast, all right? I'm struggling. Sorry. I'm talking about George Michael. I'm all over the place.
All right, Gov.
Yeah, so for the Ocean's 11 film, and this is how long ago it was now, Jesus Christ, it was back in fucking Jaguar days. They bolted like these, I think they were diamonds, 2 diamonds, one to each nose cone of the car. And then someone successfully managed to crash, I think, like pretty much on fucking lap 1, smashed the front up, and the diamond was never there. They couldn't find it.
Oof. Interestingly, though, that team became Red Bull.
Did, yeah. Yeah, and then it stole fucking years of our life. That
was pretty good. But I don't have any too wild Monaco stories. There's a place called Michelangelo's in the harbor just west of Monaco, and I used to go there. I took my parents there when I was there, and I was working on Max's car, but we sat down for dinner, and then Yoss and Max and Raymond go in, and they have dinner there as well. And we order this basket of these beautiful, beautiful heirloom tomatoes, and then an order of the really nice mozzarella burrata, and just like that was our starter. And like we're killing these tomatoes. They're fucking stunning. A little bit of rock salt sprinkled on them. But apparently I talked to somebody and that restaurant's gone, so I'm fucking depressed and never want to go to that shithole ever again.
So I only went to Monaco once in my entire time there. I managed to avoid it the entire time. And I did a baggage run.
Oh, hell yeah.
So basically baggage run is basically where you take a last minute part out as hand luggage on a plane, get to the race, and then if you're lucky, maybe as a thank you, you'll get a ticket for the race or something. Anyway, in this case, it's Monaco. I didn't get a ticket. Fine, whatever.
They told you to fuck off.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the energy station, you don't need a ticket for the energy station, do you?
Correct.
Oh, because it's not inside the paddock. The energy station is this huge fucking barge that they float in from Italy, and It's got to be better up there than being in the fucking grandstands, no?
Yeah. No, it was mint, and I will, for the sake of not getting anyone else in trouble, say I was joined by one other person from the team who will remain nameless.
Anonymous.
Right? It was also on a baggage run, and we were due to fly back the next day. So we were like, "Fuck it, why don't we just not go to sleep? Why don't we just see how many parties we can get to, and then just go to the airport straight in the morning?"
You didn't make it to the airport, did you?
We did, right?
Oh fuck!
So, we're on the energy station. Everything's going well. We're partying. Cool, great, yeah. And then it gets to the stage where we think, why don't we just go? Why don't we have a look around, see what else we can do?
See if you can sneak onto a yacht or something.
Yes. So
oh fuck!
This is where the walk around looking like you belong somewhere with a box of beer and you're fucking getting anywhere, right?
Go on,
we
man.
ended up on this massive yacht that belonged to, I think it turned out to be some like Middle Eastern oil sheikh or something. I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I don't fucking remember the name of the damn thing, but we got on there, and obviously we don't know anyone there. We get to like there's bouncers just to get onto the fucking yacht. He's like, oh, sees us with the beer, and he just sort of waves us in, like doesn't really.
Yeah, go on, lads.
Attention. We get in there and we're like, shit, now we're in here. We can't really let on that we're not meant to be in here. So we got to look like we know people and we belong. Long story short, a member of staff comes up to us and goes, oh, are you guys meant to be here? And I was like, oh, fuck, we've been rumbled. Like, yeah, no, we're just here for the party. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Do you know the owner? And we're like, oh, yeah, no, we go back a little bit, And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Would you like a tour of the boat? And I was like, yeah, no, I would really love a tour of this boat. By this, I'm like a few fucking beers in at this point, so I'm a little bit wavy. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, cool, sweet.
The swagger and the confidence is through the roof, ladies and gentlemen. Go on, lad.
We get this tour of this boat, and we're just like, oh, it's incredible, like opulence and like one of these mega super yachts is incredible.
He's probably got a kitchen. He's got full staff, probably, possibly a barber on board. Wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I didn't see the barber.
Okay, fine.
As you can tell, because I've never seen a barber in my life. But yeah, and then we get to I think it was like his like bedroom or living area. He shows us, and there was like this. I noticed there's like this weird fucking cage in the corner of the room, and I was like, oh man, saying to myself like, I've had a few beers. I'm not sure if I'm just making this up in my head, but I can definitely see a cage over in there. And I said to the guy who's like showing us around, I'm like, what's the cage all about? And he's like, oh, that's for when he has his tigers on board. And I'm just like, what?
oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ. Anyway, yeah, no, we had a really good time. We made it back to the airport, didn't sleep, stunk of beer, and yeah, no, good times.
Go on. Dude, that's a hero story. That one right there. Like that's like the super bad of Monaco stories. But
it kind of was, yeah.
It's not Hangover because nobody died or got kidnapped or lost any teeth, and that's scary as fuck. But super bad. Let's go, man. Dude, that's so fucking good. Goals. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever in Monaco, there's some tips from an absolute walking legend him fucking self.
Yeah, look like you belong. Carry a box of beer. You'll get anywhere.
Let's go, dude. Love that. I got a little Monaco quiz for you, Dan, because I'm really shit at these things, and I think you're probably better at them. Last time I was on the Reddit talks with Yepa, and him and Anil gave me like a bunch of questions. I didn't answer any of them. I was so bad. Right. Monaco trivia. Driver with the most wins around Monaco.
I'm going to guess and say... Is it Michael Schumacher? I don't actually know this. Is it Michael Schumacher?
No, it's Ayrton Senna.
Is it Ayrton Senna?
Yeah, he's got 6. It's
not the power of editing.
It's not Jeff Gordon. Now, there's 2 drivers who are tied with the second most wins with 5. One of them is Michael Schumacher. The other one?
I'm going to left field this and say Sebastian Vettel.
No, Hill.
That's what I said.
Not Damon.
Is it Graham Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said, yeah.
Team with the most wins around Monaco. It's not Kyle Busch. Come on, man. Team with the most wins.
If Ayrton Senna's got like however many, it's got to be McLaren then, right?
It is indeed.
Yes,
bravo.
Get in there,
Lewis.
1 out of 3, not bad.
All right, man. Give me your qualifying. All right, let's we move on to predictions now. That's our little trivia. Do it for Dale, baby. Do it for Dale, baby. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah.
What's your top 5 prediction for this weekend?
So I have faith in Max Verstappen to get the job done in qualifying. I think Ferrari and Charles could do another little cheeky, strong qualifying performance.
Ooh.
I reckon Charles P2, Perez P3 because he does quite well in the streets.
In it.
And Alonso, I reckon, might shithouse a P4. Although I don't have much faith in the Aston at this track. I don't know.
Really? I don't know what to expect, honestly. I'm fucking.
And then to finish it off, I put Charles in P5.
Okay. No, Carlos.
Sorry, Carlos.
Other
Yeah,
Charles.
sorry.
Spanish
Yeah,
Charles.
the other Charles 2.
George Michael.
I put George Michael in P5.
Thomas in the chat says Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Kyle Larson, Bubba Wallace, and Kevin Harvick for his qualifying top 5 around Monaco.
That'd be one incredible qualifying session.
Mate.
I would watch.
Yeah, I'd watch that. I'm going for Verstappen, Perez front row. Red Bull bias here.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm thinking Alonso's going to shithouse it, and I'm saying Ferrari going to crap the bed. We got Hamilton, Russell, George Michael, in 4 and 5.
Oh, you reckon the Merc side pods upgrade is going to come good?
I think they might go all right. I don't really know. This is vibes. This is not even. There's nothing factual. Don't put any money on this and be like, Blake, you got it wrong. I mean, I think
if he gets it wrong, drag him.
I think yours looks pretty good, honestly. You know what I'm saying?
You all about that?
Yeah, I'm about that. What's your podium looking like? Top 3?
I reckon there's going to be an incident at some point during the race that allows Charles to finish P1.
No.
And that's got nothing to do with the fact that I'm going to carry on and use Ferrari this year, this event in my random fandom. Alonso, fucking again, smelling burnt toast again. Verstappen in P2, Alonso in P3.
Are you sure it's not a little bit of Ocean's 420? You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I wish it was, mate.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Oh.
I'm so straight edge. I'm not even on an energy drink, mate. I'm drinking juice out of a bottle.
I'm gonna go have a beer after this, honestly. I reckon my podium's Verstappen, Perez, Alonso. So we both have Verstappen and Alonso on the top on those 3 steps. So
yeah.
Here's a little thing that we talked about. We foreshadowed this earlier in the episode. Mercedes gap to pole prediction. At the first 2 races this season, Mercedes was about 0.7, 0.6% off of pole. In Australia, they were really close because everybody had warm-up issues, and for some reason, Mercedes magically didn't have warm-up issues for the first time fucking ever. They were about 0.35% from pole. And then Baku and Miami, they were about 1% off of pole. How close to pole position do you reckon they will be? You've not put them in your top 5.
Mercedes, no.
Okay.
No.
What do you reckon?
I reckon they will be like
No,
in the top 10 for qualifying.
but in terms of their gap, do you think it'll be better than Miami and Baku? Or do you think they're going to find improvement or not? Basically.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there'll be an improvement, but you got to like taper people's expectations here. You're bringing a massive upgrade package to a street circuit. They're not going to bolt it on and magically find a second in pace. It's going to take them a couple of races to understand what the hell they've bolted on. And that'd be any team. That's not the disservice to Mercedes. And then they're going to have to fine tune parts of it and things like that, because Monaco, like we said, is such a fucked up circuit for setup. Like you're lifting a car into like a 4x4 spec.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so yeah, I mean, it will be an improvement, and you know, perhaps maybe the anti-dive will help them.
God damn it!
I did it again.
Stop.
Two for two.
Stop. I'm just kidding. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I reckon. And here's my take on this. I think Monaco is a very low efficiency, high drag, high downforce favoring circuit, right? We haven't seen a super nasty downforce draggy son of a gun yet. Last year, they tended to go quite well there because they don't have the straight line oomph, but it didn't matter because you don't really need it because it's not worth that much lap time around here. I think it would be very difficult, to tell if this package is an improvement or not for us and for them. And I think they'll probably go better than they did at Baku or Miami. Probably around... I still have them at 4th fastest team this weekend.
Yeah, that's fair. I would imagine and like to see Mercedes running some Flovis around Monaco because I cannot think of the last time I ever saw a car with Flovis running around Monaco.
I think it's been a while. Often they'll check the rear wing. Free practice one. I remember fucking I think Pedro with the Flovis squirt cannon just getting a full face of, because you start the engine and there's the tailpipe right there.
Yeah,
Wah, and there's wind
All drips
blowing
in.
and he's spraying the rear wing and it's all over the garage floor. The mechanics are like, God damn it, and he's covered in Flovis. I was like, God damn it, Pedro.
There is nobody more hated in the garage
than the Flovis man
guy, the aero guy that's got the fucking bottle of Flovis because they have to clean it all up off the fucking garage floor after.
Every time, man. But so last week we did our random fandom draw for Imola. We're gonna keep them. My random fandom team. I'm gonna be looking out for Aston Martin this weekend, and I'll give you guys a report on our debrief episode next week. Dan is gonna be looking out for Ferrari, baby, this weekend. Hell yeah, brother.
Ferrari.
See.
In Monaco.
See. So.
Come on, Charlie boy.
Go on, lad.
Stop fucking playing your piano and get some race wins.
Is he gonna get a W? Leclerc?
Greg? I don't know. Why not?
Hope so. But so if you haven't yet, do be sure to follow Engine Mode 11 on Twitch. He will be streaming. Are you gonna be streaming the whole time?
I intend to. Yeah.
So Dan's
we'll have a live feed of even obviously me driving, the boys driving, timing tables, whatnot.
Yeah.
We'll do a 24-hour stream.
Yeah. So Dan's doing a 24-hour stream, and at the same time, he is raising money for Samaritan's charity. If you've got some spare pennies, do be sure to check out the stream. We'll leave a link in the show notes on YouTube and on Spotify and everything else, so that you can, if you'd like to make a contribution, it can make a huge difference for a lot of people. These guys, they're doing God's work here. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be back with a Monaco debrief episode, probably Monday night, back to our usual time slot, I reckon. And
we'll have to see if I've recovered by then, but yeah.
Fair enough. And then I'm going to go, I need you to do as I do. I need you to go big up your local butcher. I'm going to go buy a brisket tomorrow. Got one of my buddies coming around. We're going to have a little brisket after qualifying. I'll send you guys some pictures in the Discord. And
Are you cooking that on your Traeger grill?
I'm Traeger. I mention Traeger every week. Yeah, we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna do a brisket, or a beef rib.
From me whinging about not having a multi-viewer hat in this episode, already I've been messaged asking to send my address, so I managed to blag a multi-viewer hat. Now we need to, follow up and finesse that Traeger grill. I need a sim racing setup.
Mazda Racing?
Office chair gaming is not doing my old man back any favors.
Nah, it won't do.
So yeah, big up your local butcher. Be excellent to each other. Check in on your mates. Big up your nan. Tell your mum you love her. And fuck off.